folks. Welcome to a National Day of the Cowboy celebration here at the Lazy T Ranch. I'm Ron Wilson, Poet Laureate. Mighty glad to have you join us. The fourth Saturday of July is set aside to celebrate the National Day of the Great American Cowboy, and right on so. But some years we've had barbecue suppers here to celebrate the Day of the Cowboy. This is the year to do it virtually, but we have some fantastic music to share with you tonight. At our church, we heard these three ladies come in and perform, and they had heavenly voices, and they called themselves the church ladies. Well, then we came to find out they were a whole lot more. And tonight they've agreed to present some cowboy music for us. So here is M.L. Stahl, Cindy Carline, and Joan Nelson, the church ladies unbridled.
Yeehaw! This first song is called Jacksontown.
July every year, we're all good cowboys. That's what I think.
Exactly.
Okay. Ready, girls?
Take it away.
Wildcat Kelly was a lucky mighty pig, was standing by the sheriff's side. And when that sheriff said, "I'm taking you to jail," Wildcat raised his head and cried, "Oh, give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Don't fence me in, let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in, let me be by myself in the was sitting by his sweetheart's side. And when his sweetheart said, "Come on, let's settle down," Wildcat raised his head and cried, "Oh, give me a land, lots of land under starry skies above. Don't fence me in, let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in, let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me out forever, but I ask you please, don't fence me in. Send me out forever, but I ask you please, don't fence me in."
Who was that wandering cowboy?
Heavenly voices. Heavenly.
Well, thank you. You may not think so after our last song.
Ah,
All right.
Me. Okay. Okay, this next song, this is an old cowboy song. It's called Night Rider's Lament. This is a good waltz, so feel free to, the dance floor is open. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
One night we sat riding, the this one. What instrument? First of all, what am I playing this?
You play mandolin.
Okay. Someday I'm gonna get good on one of those instruments, but, first of all, thank you for inviting us here, and I went out and bought a hat just for today. But you know what? Mine is 100% paper. But you didn't know they could do that, didn't you? If it works out today, I'm getting a real one. Anyway, knock knock.
Who's there?
Old lady.
Oh, lady who?
You can yodel! Okay, well, I'm gonna do
We
the best I
apologize. We apologize to all the cowboy yodelers out
can.
there.
Yeah, here we go. We are unbridled tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to start with the C?
I'm with you, Joan.
I wanna be a cowboy sweetheart. I wanna learn to roam and ride. I wanna ride on the plains and the deserts, out west of the Great Divide. I wanna hear the coyotes howling while the sun sets in the west. I wanna be a cowboy sweetheart, the life I love the best. Here we go. You can't get this quality of entertainment just anywhere. I wanna ride on pain going and I wanna feel wind in my face, 1,000 miles from all the city lights, going at a cowboy's pace. I wanna pillow my head near the sleeping while the moon shines down from above. I wanna strum my guitar and you're the thinking king. Oh, that's the life I love. I wanna be a cowboy sweetheart. I wanna learn to roam and ride. I wanna ride over the plains and the deserts, out west of the Great Divide. I wanna hear the coyotes howling while the sun sets in the west. I wanna be a cowboy sweetheart, the life I love the best.
Is that
Folks, how about M.L. Stahl, Cindy Carline, and Joan Nelson, the Church Ladies Unbridled? They are such terrific musicians. We're so thankful to have them with us here tonight. It's time for some cowboy poetry to celebrate the National Day of the Cowboy, but I want to make a couple of acknowledgments. First of all, every Tuesday we have Live at the Lazy T Ranch, right here from the ranch. It's posted on Facebook every Tuesday at 1 p.m., so make sure you join us for Live at the Lazy T Ranch. Secondly, I wanted to say a word about the backdrop behind me. This backdrop was hand-painted by a Manhattan artist named Cherie Graham. She is so gifted, so talented, and we're so thankful to have this beautiful backdrop, which today we can celebrate with the National Day of the Cowboy. So, cowboy poetry, they tell me, is best when it helps paint a picture in the mind of the listener. So for this poem, I need you to have a picture in your mind of a big round bale hay feeder, or bale ring it's sometimes called. Though maybe you've seen it driving by a farmstead as you go down the road. Those big round sections of metal into which we put big round bales to feed cows. So I want to make sure you have the mental picture for this poem. And this poem, I'm proud to say, was a top finisher at the International Western Music Association convention in Albuquerque, New Mexico last fall. The poem is entitled Fixin' the Feeder, or Things Are Going Downhill. The boss said to the cowboy, I have a job for you to fill. You need to fix the bale ring up top of the south hill. Oh, that's easy, said the cowboy. He took it as a lark. My goal is to get that fixed and be back here by dark. So the cowboy ventured forth to fix the bale ring on that day. It's a giant metal ring from which the cows eat hay. They're made to set outside in all kinds of weather, made of curved metal sections which are bolted all together. This ring's one side was loose. It looked like a simple case. He could see one single bolt was all he needed to replace. But that darn bolt did not fit. The ring was bent, all out of line. He twisted and he pushed and he cussed that ring's design. He thought about a welder to hit it with a sledge, but then he thought of lifting the whole thing up on edge. So he lifted it on edge. The pieces slid right into place. He stepped inside the bale ring and put that bolt right in its space. Then he lifted up the nut and screwed it on that new bolt's thread, and in triumph raised his fist up high above his head. But the metal ring above somehow caught his ragged sleeve. He found that he was stuck. He found he couldn't leave. He couldn't work it loose, which really made him miffed, so he gave a giant yank and felt the ring beneath him shift. That ring began to roll. No time to cut loose with his knife. The cowboy grabbed the feeder and held on for dear life. The bale ring now was rolling with the cowboy stuck inside, like a giant hamster wheel or a loose amusement ride. The bale ring picked up speed. He was bracing for a fall. The darn thing rolled downhill like a human bowling ball. There flashed before his eyes a topsy-turvy scene, kind of like the view must be inside Ma's washing machine. And then he saw a sight which filled him with more dread. That darn bale ring was headed right for the old farmstead. It barely missed the house, but it clipped the clothesline there and came out the other side, flapping Grandma's underwear. It scattered all the chickens, bounced over the garden rake, and made the border collie dog stop and do a double take. It rolled across the driveway. He could not believe his luck. It took out the electric fence and knocked the mirror off the truck. Then it rolled into the wheat field, where its momentum made a stop and fell over on its side with a resounding plop. That night, the old boss asked him, "Well, son, did you make your goal?" The cowboy said, "Well, you might say that today I was on a roll." Did you get the mental picture there, folks? I hope you did. It's all in fun. But I want to turn to the serious side for a moment, because right now our country is in a lot of stress. We're dealing with COVID. We're dealing with a lot of racial conflict. And I want to say this: Black cowboys matter. The cowboy was a multicultural figure, despite what you may have seen in the Hollywood movies of the 1950s. Bose Icard from Texas, an African-American cowboy, was the top, most trusted lieutenant of Charles Goodnight in the cattle drive era up the Chisholm Trail in the 1860s. Bill Pickett, the African-American cowboy, invented the sport of bulldogging, now known as steer wrestling in rodeo today. They say that at least 1 out of every 4 cowboys along the great cattle drives was Black or Hispanic or American Indian. So the American cowboy was a multicultural figure, and we celebrate the many cultures that have contributed to the richness of American cowboy culture today. There are a lot of terms that the cowboy uses which we can credit to the Hispanic culture. For example, chaps, the leather leggings cowboy wears, comes from the term chaparrizas. The lariat comes from la riata, to tie in Spanish. The word buckaroo is itself the Americanized version of vaquero, who was the first cowboy on the American continent. So on the National Day of the Cowboy, we celebrate these many cultures that contribute to the heritage and history of the American cowboy. I mentioned chaps, the leather leggings. And I have something that I want to show you. I have a couple of pairs of chaps in addition to these. I have some work chaps and show chaps, but look at these chaps. These chaps come to us through my wife's side of the family. And these are authentic chaps, which might be 60 to 70 years old, that were worn and used by my wife's ancestors. This is a family treasure. And this next poem that I've written really focuses on the history, the heritage that we as cowboys can enjoy. The poem is entitled The Legacy. They looked like dried up leather straps we found up in the attic. You've got to throw out all those scraps. That rule is automatic. I went to throw those straps away, to toss them out of hand. But something made me pause that day, unlike what I had planned. I opened up those leather straps. It hit me like a blow. These were my grandfather's old chaps from many years ago. They were unlike my modern chaps of supple cowhide leather, whose contour of my bowleg wraps, unmarked by time and weather. These chaps were brittle, cracked, and dry. The belt no longer fit. One buckle's missing, one's awry, the stitching stretched and split. But when I touched those chaps of old, a chill went down my spine. They spoke of ancient cowboys bold, their heritage, now mine. The leather spoke to me somehow of cattle driving days, of drovers moving horse and cow and gathering the strays, of endless hours on a horse, of roping in a rush, of following the longhorn's course all headlong through the brush. I catch the scent of branding fires, of stampede's frantic pace. In images my mind acquires, I see my grandpa's face. Those chaps would bring him safely through the hazards of this land and past his time as buckaroo into my very hand. No way those chaps should just be tossed like trash of yesteryear. Their heritage must not be lost, but rather valued here. So I will save my grandpa's chaps, a treasure now to me. They'll serve my children too, perhaps, a cowboy legacy. It speaks to the legacy, the heritage that we have in our nation from the great history of the American cowboy. And so how fitting it is that we celebrate the National Day of the Cowboy today. Folks, let me finish up with the poem I wrote specifically for the National Day of the Cowboy. This is a day we set out to give praise to those who honor the cowboy ways. The cowboy or cowgirl is a true hero who helped our nation to thrive and grow. Not only did he tame the American West, he stood for the values we think of as best. He believes in hard work and playing hard too, and in honoring women in all that they do. To be independent and stand up for what's right, to be courageous and honest and not run from a fight, to be brave and loyal, to ride for the brand and be a good steward of his livestock and land. So we honor this legacy and the values we enjoy as we celebrate the National Day of the Cowboy. Folks, thank you so much for joining us for this celebration of the National Day of the Cowboy here at the Lazy T Ranch. Happy trails and God bless.